Today I'm going to talk about electric ATVs for kids aged 3 to 10. I'm going to talk about three of the most popular or the highest powered ATVs for kids on the market right now. Those are the Rosso Motors Equad T, the Razor Dirt Quad 24 volt, and the most powerful electric ATV I could find, which is the Off-Road Mall 36 volt 1000 watt ATV. I have personally owned all three of these. Here's a chart that compares the specs on these ATVs. Let me start by saying that none of these three ATVs have enough power or torque to get over any substantial hills, and they definitely cannot do it at all on slow speed settings. These electric ATVs are great for putzing around, but that's about it. Let's talk about the Rosso Motors Equad T first. Here's some pictures and videos of my kids riding it. It's the smallest quad of the bunch, and it sits pretty low to the ground. At 6 years old, my son was way too big for it already, so I would recommend ages 3 to 5 tops for the Rosso. It's got a somewhat hefty price tag. At almost $800, I paid $745, and the parts are really expensive. You always have to pay for shipping from the Rosso website if you need to replace something. It does have a nice ride time, and it has additional features like a parental control clicker that you can use to turn off or lock the ATV if you want to override your kid on the ATV and shut it off on them while they're driving. We found this to be a nuisance though, and we just used the key. Durability on the Rosso Motors Equad T is pretty bad in our experience. The ignition and the reverse neutral drive housing started to spin around on us, so trying to turn on the ATV was like winding up a toy. All the wires would get twisted around underneath, and it was really annoying. Within 1 day of owning it, the front tire completely blew out. Not the tube, but the actual tire. And that was a $50 setback for a whole new tire assembly. Then, a few months later, my kid broke the throttle by dropping a heavy metal bottle directly on the throttle by accident. And that set me back another $50. And by the time we were able to put it in, the ATV batteries no longer held a charge. I did replace the batteries, but I'm just fed up with it at this point because it's still not holding a charge like it used to with the new batteries. When this Rosso did run, the kids enjoyed that it went 8 miles per hour and it could handle some of the dirt hills. Like any ATV, the Rosso Motors can flip over, and my kids did get dumped off of it a few times when they hit the hills wrong or they tried to do donuts in reverse. Overall, I give the Rosso a 3 out of 10 for durability, an 8 out of 10 for safety, and my kids ranked it a 5 out of 10 overall because when it did run, they had fun blasting through the dirt with it. But this is not the ATV I would recommend for kids. Moving on to the Razor Dirt Quad, the 24 volt 350 watt version. I purchased it for my very skilled 3-year-old. He absolutely loves this ATV. It goes 8 miles per hour and it can handle basic dirt hills. It handled some pretty nasty mud and even a pressure washing afterward without any water damage to the electrical components. It sits higher off the ground than the Rosso and has the most comfortable seat of all three ATVs. My 8-year-old always complains about his knees hitting the front plastics when he rides both of the other quads, but he doesn't have that problem with this Razor. We've also accidentally left this outside in freezing weather, below 10 degrees, as well as blazing hot days over 100 degrees, and I've never had a problem turning it on and running it. The drive time's about 30 minutes, but that's common for all of Razor's electric stuff. There is no reverse, which is kind of a drawback. My kids have ridden this over a mile on one charge on dirt hills and paved roads. I have not had any mechanical issues at all in the year that we've had it. A kid can definitely flip this one over if they turn going too fast or if they hit a hill wrong. But overall, both my 8-year-old and my 3-year-old have had an absolute blast with the Razor Dirt Quad. Of the three options, I would highly recommend this one for kids ages 3 to 7 that have already mastered basic throttle and maneuvering skills on those baby quads. The Razor gets a 9 out of 10 for durability, a 7 out of 10 for safety, and my kids give it a 10 out of 10 because it's withstood all of the crap that they've put it through. Now let's look at the high-powered off-road mall ATV. At 1,000 watts and 36 volts, this beast can blow by the Rosso and the Razor 10 miles per hour faster. This quad has multiple speed settings with limiters, So there's a low, a medium, and a high, and then you can change the red cable underneath the seat to give you the highest speed of 18 miles per hour on high. My 3-year-old was going fast medium. My 8-year-old started on fast high. It does have a wider wheelbase, and it sits about the same height as the Razor Dirt Quad. My 8-year-old, however, found this ATV uncomfortable because his knees were bashing into the front plastics when he rode. Your kid is definitely going to flip and injure or kill themselves riding at the highest speed on this thing. It's no joke. It's definitely unsafe. Even my 8-year-old told me when he rode it in the dirt that he did not like how out of control it felt. Even though this ATV hosts a far more powerful motor, it still couldn't tackle any bigger hills than the other 2 ATVs. So the power really didn't show up. And it especially didn't if the ATV was set on low speed or even medium. As you can see right here, my youngest son couldn't even get over that little bump on medium. Also, we had a lot of mechanical issues with both of them when they arrived. On one, the front arm abruptly disconnected from the frame, which had the front wheel jolt 90 degrees out, causing the ATV to come to a very hard and skidding stop, and it sent my kid over the handlebars. He was fine, and he was wearing his helmet, but it scared him. There are no cotter pins in the bolts, just a nut and a bolt situation to hold the whole frame together. So if you do buy this off-road mall ATV, check your frame bolts under the plastics so your kid doesn't die getting launched off by the frame falling apart if they're going more than 15 miles per hour. We also had issues with one of the controllers, which wouldn't allow the ATV to change speed settings, so that was annoying too. Even though the off-road mall ATV goes fast, they sacrifice a lot in safety. And honestly, their performance was about on par with the Razor Dirt Quad. In my experience, the cheapest ATV, the Razor Dirt Quad, far outperformed both of these more expensive ones. I hope that was helpful. Thanks for listening.